This bite-sized video from Fairfax County Public Libraries looks at how to install Zoom teleconference software on your personal Android device. There are a few basic things you'll need to get started. First is a solid, stable internet connection. Second is your own Android phone or tablet. It must be running Android 4.0 or later, have a processor of 1 GHz or better. Some of the devices that can use it, aside from typical Android phones, are Kindle HD tablets, and even Chromebooks that are able to use Android apps. Now that we have some of the requirements out of the way, I'm going to switch over to my own Android phone, and we'll get started. So I've moved on over to my personal Android device, and your screen may look a little bit different depending on what you're using, if you're using a tablet or a different kind of phone. But it should look roughly like this as far as what icons are there and what information is there. I'm on Zoom's website right now, which is just zoom.us, and what took me here was an invitation I received for a Zoom chat or a Zoom meeting. And if you accept that and click on that without having the software installed, you're going to come to a page that looks just like this if you're on an Android device. You get three basic options. If you have the Zoom app already installed, you're going to get an option to join the meeting, and that's going to launch the application right away. If you don't have it, you'll have the options to download it from Google Play or download it through the Zoom website. In general, I would recommend downloading it from Google Play. Make sure you get the most up-to-date version. So I'm going to touch that option. And the Google Play Store opens. It takes us right to the proper screen. If you're searching for it on your own without going through a link, you want to make sure to search for Zoom Cloud Meetings and make sure it's made by zoom.us. Some software companies will create their own apps that have names that are really similar to very popular apps, and this is just an effort to try to get their download numbers up. So just be aware when you're downloading something to make sure you get the version that you actually want. This is what I want, so I'm going to click Install. The speed's going to vary depending on how good your internet connection is. Now it's installing, and once it's installed, you can open the software just like any other app by clicking Open. The app launches. You've got a cogwheel in your top left corner for some basic settings, and we've got a nicely laid out screen giving us some very brief info, telling us that we can start or join a meeting on the go with a fun little graphic here. And then we have options to join a meeting, sign up or register with the software, or if you've already got an account, you can sign in. If really all you're interested in at this point is joining a meeting that's about to start, that's perfectly fine. You can do that right now. And what it will take you to is a place that's asking you for a meeting ID. And you can fill out the information here. In some cases, there might be a password. You want to make sure to type those in correctly. They are case sensitive, and once you do, the software will take over and we'll get into the settings. Once the software launches, you'll be asked to give your name, and this is the name that people will see when you log in. And we're given an alert to allow Zoom access for permissions. Permissions is fancy software talk for what you're allowing the software to do with your phone. Right now this is just informational, so I'm going to touch Got It. And initially it's asking you allow Zoom to record audio. It's asking you to record audio so you can have a conversation with whoever you're speaking to, so they can hear you. So I'm going to touch Allow. And now we can see who I'm chatting with. This is my friendly library monkey, my coworker, who is all ready to help you with learning about Zoom. So if you look down at the bottom of the screen, there are a number of different settings. The most basic is join audio. So for most of us, that's going to be what they're prompting us with, which is call via device audio. If you have something external plugged in, you might see that option as well, but in general, you're just going to be using the device audio. I'm going to touch that, and it tells me you're using the device audio. And now my library monkey can hear me and would be able to have a conversation at this point. But my library monkey can't see me, so what do we do about that? If you look just to the right of the microphone, you see there's an icon that says Start Video. So I'm going to touch that, and we get a request for a different set of permissions. This one related to pictures and video. And this is so the software can capture images through your camera to broadcast out to other people in your Zoom room. So I'm going to touch Allow, and now see that I'm visible. You can get a sense of what it looks like when you're in a room. There are some options for you for controlling this a little bit. Let's say you need to step away maybe you spill a drink, maybe you just need to make a phone call or something like that, you can just stop that video and go back to that kind of boring icon that you've got there. And when you're ready to come back, touch it again, and you're back. Same thing with the video, with the audio. You notice in that far left button, it says mute right now for your microphone. So if you touch that, it turns red, and my library monkey can no longer hear me. If you're in a room with several people, it's considered good conference etiquette to mute yourself, so there's not a lot of bleed over, you're not talking over each other, and any background noise that might be behind you, things that you may not necessarily even be aware of, won't be going through and disturbing everybody who's listening. I'm going to go ahead and unmute that for the time being. Going over from the right, from the audio and video settings, there's a share option that's sharing pictures and files and even what's going on your screen. Next to that is a participants tab. If I touch that, it opens up another window and gives you a sense of who all is in the room and what kind of access they have, whose mic is working and whose is not. After you see everybody that's in the room, you can touch close right under the clock. And next to the participants, right underneath my own video feed, it says more with 3 dots over it. So we have a number of other settings and options there for us. I'm going to touch that to open up the submenu. The very first thing we see on top, we see a pair of clapping hands in yellow and a thumbs up. Those are visual shorthand, so if your audio is off, depending on how your room is set up, your speaker may have total control over everybody's microphone, in which case you may not be able to congratulate them if they make a good point. Instead, you can just give them a thumbs up. And notice the thumbs up pops up right in your video feed right there, so people know that you enjoyed the point that the speaker just made. A couple of other options here. There is a chat function. This is just like texting on your phone. If I touch that, it opens up a new window, and messages I type in go out live to everyone. They'll come into them in a little pop-up bubble that overlays on their screen. You type in what you want and hit close. You can even send to particular people if you want. So if you look down in the bottom left where it says everyone, if I touch that, you can specify a person. And notice it says privately right next to it, so you know that they're the only one seeing it. When you're done with the chat, you can close it. If you need to go into the history, you can just go back into it. So more, chat, and there's everything that's been typed into the chat so far. A couple of other functions. You can raise your hand. Again, if your microphone is off, if your speaker is controlling it, which might be for reasons that you have a big room or something like that, but you have something to say, to share with the group, you can raise your hand and make sure you get noticed. If you change your mind, you can lower your hand. There are also options for hiding your own video feed in your view, hiding non-video participants. So maybe it's a room of 10 people and 4 of them don't have video going. You can just take them off of your screen so your screen's not quite as cluttered up. And you have the option to show names when participants join the room, which is very helpful. If the settings ever seem to go away, you can just do a quick tap on the screen and they do come back. So if you look up in the top left, there are a couple other options for you. There's a audio control, which is your outgoing audio, the audio that you hear. You can turn it on and off. And then there's also an icon that looks like a camera. And that's exactly what it is. Actually, what this controls is which camera you are using. When Zoom first launches, it's going to, by default, use your selfie cam. That's the camera that's either underneath your screen or right next to it. And that's so you can look at the screen and have your face within the video feed at the same time. But you may have reasons for wanting to use the other camera. To kind of get that point across, I'm going to enlarge my screen a little bit so you can really see my environment here. And let's say for some reason you want to show something off in your office. You got a new computer or a new painting or a new desk. And you can just use that camera icon to switch your view and show around what you need to, and go back and touch your speaker to go back to your view. Anytime you want to enlarge and focus on one individual person, you can do that just by touching on their video feed, and it puts them front and center, including yourself. Those are all the basic settings to kind of get you around in here. There's one last thing, one very important thing to show you, how to get out. So if you look in the top right, underneath my battery meter, You see the word leave. I'm going to touch that. And it says, do you want to leave this meeting? And I'm going to say, why, yes, I do. So you touch the blue leave meeting. And we're done. Thank you very much for sitting with me for this, and I hope you found it helpful. This is kind of a basic tour of some of the functions within Zoom for Android, and whether or not you're going to be using this for attending a virtual library program or meeting up with a book club or just to chat with friends. Zoom is a great tool to do all of those things, so I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.